So as we enter fall and winter, and we're used to having our windows open all summer, it's time to start paying attention to our windows and making sure that they are closed, locked, and sealed correctly, so that we are keeping the heat inside of our homes and not letting it escape out the window. Um, the first thing we want to check is to make sure that our window is closed all the way. And there's sort of two places where we can check that. Down at the bottom. So we can see that this window is open at the bottom. So I'm going to push down to close it. And then the other place where the window might be open is up at the top. Now, my windows are generally closed quite well at the top, but you can sort of double check to make sure it's closed by, if you're tall enough, pushing up at the top so that it's pushed all the way, or you can push the upper sash from down below. And the way we can do that is by opening your window here, by pulling this tab in, and then pulling that tab in, and then pulling out. See how I did that? This tab in, that tab pull in with both hands, and then you pull the window out. Okay, and now we can reach underneath the upper sash and push up. So in this case, it's not moving at all, so that means that it's nice and secure. But if it had fallen a little bit when I push this, you'd see it slide up. So now that we have pushed the upper sash upwards, and again, I'm going to push the lower sash downwards, I think our window is closed, but what we haven't done is locked it. It's good to be in the habit of locking it to create the best seal to keep the heat in your home. And remember, when you're keeping heat in your home, you're also keeping money in your budget, because the more heat that goes out the window, the more you're going to pay for your heat. In order to properly seal the window, we're going to lock it. And we're going to use these locks here. And ideally you want to look at it from above to make sure that the locks engage. So when I push this lock, you'll sort of see the window get pulled closer, this lower sash get pulled tighter to the upper sash, and you can see that right there that it's actually engaging. Now the one mistake that's commonly made is that people try to lock their windows and they don't actually engage the lock. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So that's something that people commonly do. It's a big mistake. It's not good for your window, and that's what happens when you're not paying attention to whether you're locking it or not. So if you look up top, it hasn't engaged. It's actually, what it's done is it's pushed the window further away from the upper sash, and it's created even more of a gap that's going to let air through. So that's not good. We want to check our work. Again, I'm going to unlock it. I'm going to push it down. The problem there was that the window was not properly closed all the way, and that's what led to the locking problem. So now that my window is down, I'm going to lock it, and that looks good. And so we've got one more, and I'm going to lock it, and that looks good too. Over time, windows warp, and if you don't, because the building is moving, it's heating and cooling and expanding and contracting, and if you don't lock your windows every season, then they will kind of, over time, fall out of, they will warp, and the building will warp, and at some point it gets very hard to close them. So you want to do the best you can. You want to make sure they're locked properly, and this is going to keep the heat in your home during the winter.